Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 4, entitled The Amsaguya Prayers. First 3 verses I'll read for myself, small purport, and it is in connection also. 9th verse we'll repeat together. Text 6. Thabhyam Nirdhayamanam stan upalabhya kurudvaha rajavacha man somo manyum prasamayam iva. Translation. My dear King Parikshit, when Soma, the king of the trees and predominating deity of the moon, saw the fire and wind burning all the trees to ashes, he felt great sympathy because he is the maintainer of all herbs and trees. To appease the anger of the Prachetas, Soma spoke as follows. Purport. It is understood from this verse that the predominating deity of the moon is the maintainer of all trees and plants throughout the universe. It is due to the moonshine that trees and plants grow very luxuriantly. Therefore, how can we accept the so-called scientists whose moon expeditions have informed us that there are no trees or vegetation on the moon? Hila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says, Somo Vriksha Adhishtahatha Saeva Vrikshanam Raja. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, is the king of all vegetation. How can we believe that the maintainer of vegetation has no vegetation on his own planet? Text 7. Na drumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drogdum har ataha vivardhai savo yuyam prajanam pataya smrataha. Translation. O great fortunate ones, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish citizens, prajas, all prosperity and to act as their protector. Purport. It is indicated herein that the government or king has the duty of protecting not only the human being but all other living entities, including animal, trees and plants. No living entity should be killed unnecessarily. Text 8. Aho prajapati pati bhagavan ariyavaya Vanaspati moshadischa sasur jorjam isam vibho. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, is the master of all living entities, including all the Prajapatis such as Lord Brahma, because he is the all-pervading and indestructible master. He has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. Purport. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, reminded the Prachetas that this vegetation has been created by the Lord of Lords to provide food for everyone. If the Prachetas try to kill them off, their own subjects would also suffer, for trees are also required for food. Text 9, we'll repeat together. Annam charanam achara Hiya pada padacharina Asta yuktana Dipadam cha chatushpadaha. Translation and purport by Divine Gazesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. By nature's arrangement, fruits and flowers are considered the food of insects and birds. Grass and other legless living entities are meant to be the food of four-legged animals like cow and buffalo. Animals that cannot use their front legs as hands are meant to be the food of animals like tigers, which have claws. The four-legged animals like deer and goats, as well as food grain, are meant to be the food of human beings. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. By nature's law or the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. As mentioned here, Dvipadam cha Chatuspadaha. The four-legged animals Chatuspadaha, as well as the food grains or eatables for human being Dvipadam. These four-legged animals are those such as deer and goat, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Generally, the men of the higher classes of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, do not eat meat. Sometimes Kshatriyas goes to the forest to kill animals like deer because they have to learn the art of killing, and sometimes they eat the animals also. Shudras too eat animals such as goat. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by human being. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. Manu Samhita says, Pravritti yesha bhutana nivrittistu mahaphala. We have many tendencies in this material world, but in human life, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. Those who desire to eat meat may satisfy the demands of the tongue by eating lower animals, but they should never kill cows who are actually accepted as mother of the human society because they supply milk. The Shastra especially recommend Kishi Goraksha. The Vaishya section of the humanity should arrange for the food of the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to the cows, which are the most useful animals because they supply milk to human society. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport. So in this new chapter we have started reading from last week. The Hamsagaya prayers offered to Lord by Prajapati Daksha. So we are in the beginning of this chapter. I'll just read one para of the introduction, summary actually. After Maharaj Parikshit appealed to Sukadeva Goswami to describe in further detail the creation of living entities within this universe, Sukadeva Goswami informed him that when the Prachetas, the 10 sons of Prachini Bahari, entered the sea to execute austerity, the planet Earth was neglected because of the absence of king. Naturally, many weeds and unnecessary trees grew, and no food grains were produced. Indeed, all the land became like a forest. When the 10 Prachetas came out of the sea and saw the entire world full of trees, they were very angry with the trees and decided to destroy them all to rectify the situation. Thus, the Prachetas created wind and fire to burn the trees to ashes. Soma, however, the king of the moon and the king of the vegetation forbade the Pracheta to destroy the trees, since the trees are all the source of fruits and flower for all living beings. Just to satisfy the Prachetas, Soma gave them a beautiful girl born of Pramalocha Apsara. By the semen of all Prachetas, Daksha was born of that girl. In the beginning, Daksha created all the demigods, demons, human beings. But when he found the population not increasing properly, he took sannyas and went to Vindhya mountain, where he underwent severe austerities and offered Lord Vishnu a particular prayer known as Amsaguya, by which Lord Vishnu became very pleased with him. The contents of the prayers were as follows. So we'll see how this Daksha is offering prayers to Lord Vishnu in the further verses. So last verse we read that when this Pracheta, the son of Prachinabhari, came out of their great austerity, and when they saw that trees were growing, actually they created fire and wind from their mouths because of their severe tapas shakti. Actually, when we do tapasya, we get a lot of shakti like this. But in the 5th verse we read how devotees use this shakti not for destroying or killing anything like that. We use for our spiritual advancement. So the Soma, the moon god, Just like we get information in the Bhagavad Gita also, imam vivashvate yogam. So there is a sun god whose name is Vivaswan. Similarly here, there is moon god. His name is Soma. So moon, in the night, it is giving light, and all this vegetation, fruits, they get the energy because of the moon shine. Prabhupada explained this. Just like you eat some nice fruit, apple, mango, it has got some unique sweetness, correct? Juice is there. Where it is coming from? So, the sun, moon, they are all very important. Without sun, trees, plants will die off. This we have experienced. Even the tulsi plant, you see during cold winter, particularly in the western countries, it will become very black. It will all fall apart. So, this information we have to get from the scriptures. Otherwise, there is no other way to figure out how these things are happening. So that's why Prabhupada in the first purport itself is talking of scientists. The 6th verse which we read today. Therefore, how can we accept the so-called scientists whose moon expeditions have informed us there are no trees or vegetation on the moon? The scientists, they say so many things like this. But immediately, and Prabhupada quotes from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says, his verse is there, Somo Vriksha, this Adhishthatha, Sa Eva Vrikshanam Raja. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, is the king of all vegetation. See? Unless we refer to scriptures, we will never know. That's why Prabhupada was very heavy on this scientist. Because they go on talking something nonsense actually, which is not corroborating with the Shastras. So, our way of understanding is from the Vedic literatures or Shastras. Then Prabhupada concludes that small purport. How can we believe that the maintainer of vegetation has no vegetation on his own planet? It's just like they say they went to moon and it's a big, still lot of people, scientists, they themselves come and say these are all not true. Because when they went to the moon planet, they say nothing was there. Some rock or something like that. No, everywhere living entities are there. Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter itself, Krishna says, Sarvagataha, soul is there, all pervading, there in all the planetary system. So Krishna says this. So, but you should have a particular type of body. Just like if you want to go to sun planet with this body, earthly body, we'll be burnt like anything. We can't even go actually. Similarly, if you want to go to moon planet, there is a process. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrita Deva Pitru Yanti Pitruvita. We can go to Devata's planet also. It's possible. But we should acquire that qualification. Not with the same material. Because our body, we know, Prabhupada explains, is predominantly made of earthly. Earth is their majority. So all these Panchabhuta, just like fish, they are in the water body. Small fish, the big ocean it is there. It is not at all bothered. It is swimming actually. Whereas we will be washed away if we go to big ocean like that. Why? Because they got that specific body. So like this we have to understand. We should refer to Shastra. Shastra Sakshashu. That is very important. So in the next verse, 7th verse, translation is, O great fortunate ones, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish citizens, prajas, all prosperity and to act as their protectors. So the Soma is instructing the Prachetas that you are all Kshatriyas. You are supposed to protect all the living entities. Why you are killing all these trees, plants? So, Soma is preaching to Pracheta here. So, you should not do this. Because these trees and the plants, they are also food for other living entities. So, Praja, Prabhupada explained what is the meaning of Praja. Just like we are born in India, we are called Indian. Somebody is born in America is called American. So, it is not only for the human being. We are concerned more about the human being only, but we are not bothered about the lower animals, trees, plants, all these things. That is not a proper understanding. Praja means the living entity is born in a particular place. It has to be protected. That's why in that one sentence purport also Prabhupada says here, it is indicated herein that the government or king has the duty of protecting not only human being, but also other living entities, including animals, trees, plant. No living entity should be killed unnecessarily. We don't have any right to kill anybody. Just like in this law, in this state, there is a law. If somebody kills another person, the law immediately will act. He will get death sentence if it is proved. So we go on killing animals actually. And there are some propagators, they say no, animals don't have soul. All these things. No, that is not true actually. The symptom of the living entity is the soul. So this awareness, maybe they are low awareness, their consciousness is low. Like tree, plants, if you see the evolution in the 84 lakh species. So the evolution, it grows actually. Like 9 lakhs in the form of reptiles and plants, Navalakshani. Then Thavara, trees and plants, 30 lakhs. Like that Padma Purana lists out. There are 84 lakh species. Maybe consciousness is very low. In the human form of life, particularly in the developed consciousness, once you advance the Aryan civilization, our consciousness is a little advanced. So, but it is the duty of a king or a chief executive head to give protection to all. That's what Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita when he is describing about the characteristics of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Kshatriya is, he has to protect from others from getting hurt. Kshatriya. That is his duty. Today nobody is bothered about all these things. They are going on killing, like that Prabhupada says actually. The next verse, 8th verse. It is mentioned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, is the master of all living entities, including all the Prajapatis, such as Lord Brahma. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, he is the Supreme Lord. Brahma is also born of Krishna, Vishnu. Because he is all pervading and indestructible master, he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. So this is the logic Soma is using to tell Prachetas, you are going on killing these trees and plants. But it is Lord's arrangement. The trees and plants and these vegetables are eatable for other living entity. So what will happen to your other prajas, other living entities? So please do not kill. And in the last verse we read today, 9th verse. By nature's arrangement, the fruits and flowers are considered food of insect and bird. So like that it is given how classification is there. Somebody is lower living entity, somebody is higher. And when you are in the higher thing, like in the developed consciousness, Prabhupada writes in the purport that by nature's law or arrangement, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. as mentioned, then Prabhupada is mentioning this verse. The four-legged animals are those such as deers and goat, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Because we are all conditioned living beings. There is a natural tendency for us to commit these four sinful acts: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit connection. So that's why in the Karmakanda portion of the Vedic literature, there are sanctions for the person whose consciousness is not developed. That's why Prabhupada then he writes, particularly Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, they will not eat non-vegetarian food. They will not eat meat. Only Shudras are allowed. Kshatriyas, they go to forest for hunting. Sometimes they kill the lower animal like goat and deer. Because they have to be sharp, they have to sharpen their knowledge. Correct? Kshatriyas, they have to, when there is war, they have to go and fight. When they fight, a lot of bloodshed will happen. So they have to be trained for all these things. So they are permitted to go to forest to kill a lower animal. Then Prabhupada goes on to say that sometimes Kshatriya go to the forest to kill animals like deer because they have to learn the art of killing, and sometimes they eat the animals also. Shudras to eat animals such as goat. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by human being. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. See, who knows all these things? You go to a supermarket, you go to a big mall, there's a lot of food. You go on picking up all this meat food. They're packed nicely. And you bring home and you cook and you eat. Actually, Prabhupada explains, this meat eating, it has no taste if you see like that. And people who are eating meat also, they eat only a small portion of meat. And along with that, they eat vegetables, this, different items they take. But just they are not able to control their tongue. They are eating this meat. And this meat is also just like raw meat. Nobody will be interested. They bring home, they add all this salt, pepper, and whatever thing. It adds some taste to it. And they eat a slice of flesh. Because they are not able to control their tongue. That is the whole thing. So, Prabhupada in a lecture he says, so in the human form of life, we have got two choices. We can go to hell, hellish planet, or we can go back to Godhead. So we have to choose that, where you want to go. The next destination. People are just passing off this, no, you just go on enjoying your senses, what is there. Once you are done, once your life is gone, you are finished, you are dead and gone. No, but we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, the soul takes on to another body according to our activities, according to our desires. So it is not true that we just go on whatever we wish. No, particularly in the human form of life, we are all responsible human beings. So, but these propensities are there. Eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna is common in the animal and in the human being also. Correct? That's why, but our eating process, if you see, we'll have a nice kitchen, we'll prepare some palatable food, we'll offer it to Lord, and we'll take it as a prasadam. Whereas animals, you see, they just go and grab and eat whatever they get. So their process of eating is like that. They're sleeping. We have an apartment or a room and we have our bed and we take rest like that. But you see dog, cat, all these animals, They just sleep wherever they want. So, but if you see, I have got a big apartment, I have a nice arrangement for eating, sleeping, and if our consciousness is in the same level of the animals, actually we are no better than animal actually. That's why our today, this modern civilization, Prabhupada says, they are simply busy in the material advancement of eating and sleeping. Just like Prabhupada in that lecture he mentioned, just like there are some thieves, correct? There are some very systematic or very advanced level of thieves are also there. Sometimes we come across a big bank is looted, or the treasury from the bank, or big thieves are there like that. So they have to be very scientific, they have to plan, because today the system is, the moment you enter any of this place, there is alarm and all these things, correct? But there are some thieves, they have studied all these things, and they steal a bank with crores of rupees. Sometimes we come across. Or they enter a big jewelry shop and they drill and whatever it is, and they take a lot of jewelry from the shop. And there are some thieves, ordinary thieves, there's some pickpocket wala. They pick your packet, particularly in Bombay, and maybe in Bombay we have seen actually. Very common. And even they pick your pocket and the train is going fast, they even will wave their hand like this, show your purse to you. You just can't do anything, correct? Nobody will jump. So like that. So both are thieves, but in the name of the advancement of civilization, Prabhupada says, the person who is looting the bank, he is considered to be advanced thief. Thief is thief, correct? If he is caught, he will be punished. He is a criminal. So Prabhupada quote that in this thing, Hira Chor and Shira Chor, Kira Chor. Hira means diamond, Kira means cucumber. So cucumber or something like that, sometimes we have come across this also when in the initial days of practicing elsewhere in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we used to go out for our Friday program and all. We used to pluck some flowers or some fruits. Like the foreign country, they are all well organized, correct? So particularly if it is gated community. Today you can't enter the gated community. Those days we used to get some flowers for making garland and all. Once it so happened, we are nicely plucking flower early morning at 6 o'clock. And we had a lot of flowers. Suddenly one person was there, and he happened to be some big police official actually. So he called in walkie-talkie or something, and suddenly police van came and to catch it. 2-3 of us were there. Then we didn't know what to do. Then as usual we surrendered. We said we didn't know this, we are doing for this, we are taking for some worship and all. Then he was telling, you don't know? It's a private property. You are not supposed to come and take. Like that and all. Actually, he enlightened us that time. See, sometimes karmis, sometimes they speak. Sometimes it will be very hitting to us also. Because they will speak nicely sometimes. Then we said, sorry, he let us go like that. So, whether it is Kira Chor or Hira Chor, if he is caught, he will be punished. You can say, I am an advanced thief. I looted a big bank. So it doesn't work like that. But today, this is what is happening. Why? Because Prabhupada explained, Adhanta Gobir Vishatanta Mishram Puna Charvita Charvanana. Because we are not able to control the senses. Adhanta Gobir, go is sense. Vishatanta Mishram, we go to the lower and lower planetary system. Puna Charvita Charvananam. So, because Bhagavatam explains all these things, in another place it is said, Nunam Pramatta Kurute Vikarma. People do all this Vikarma, which is not authorized. Karma, Akarma and Vikarma. Vikarma are sinful activities. Sinful activities, forbidden activities. So, if you do that activity, you'll be punished. If you are caught, you'll be punished. So, particularly, Prabhupada is, in this purport, is mentioning about the protection of cow. So, cow protection is very important. That's why Prabhupada is writing here, the cow is considered to be a mother. Our mother, just like when we are born, we are dependent on mother's milk. Similarly, cow is providing this wonderful food, milk. It's just eating grass and it is giving us this miracle food, Prabhupada says. And when we take milk, actually our brain tissues get vitalized. It is, Prabhupada mentioned that. So that's why we take milk, but today's civilization, the moment the cows stop giving milk, actually they are slaughtered and they are eaten by these people. So that's why it is said, you are what you eat. So when we eat food in the tamoguna and the rajoguna, we will also develop that qualities. But when we take sattvic food, actually we can understand the higher values of life. What is this life all about? We can understand some higher philosophy. We can understand the spiritual topic. That's why person who is killing these 4 regulative principles, anybody who breaks, that's why actually it is based on the Bhagavatam verse. Correct? This 4 Prabhupada has introduced in ISKCON. We have to follow this thing. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling and illicit connection. So if somebody wants to advance in spiritual life, we have to be very strict in all these things. So then Prabhupada goes on to say that with why varieties of food are there? Because there are varieties of living entities. So everybody has got different taste. Everybody has got different palate. Just like if there is a pig eats all unmentionable things because it has developed a taste. So that's why there are varieties of food, but in the human form of life, we should take only sattvic food. Milk and all the milk products are so wonderful. So much proteins we get in that. So why to unnecessarily kill the cow? So today's civilization, Prabhupada says, it is a cow killing civilization or a mother killing civilization. Because cow is considered to be one of the 7 mothers in the Shastras. That's why when Krishna also appeared 5,000 years before, when he was born and brought up in the Vaishya family of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, he was taking the cows, then cows. Because he is teaching, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanyetaya, Jagadithaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Nama. So, very dear to Krishna, the Brahmanas and the cow. So we have to get this information from the Shastras. And then Prabhupada quotes, Manu Samhita says, Pravritti Esha Bhutana, Nivritti Tistu Mahaphala. We have many tendencies in this metal world, but in human form, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. We should not let loose our mind, our senses go here and there. No, we have to curb. Only in the human form we can do this actually. So like that, the Shastra especially recommend Krishi Goraksha. The Vaishya section of humanity should arrange for the food of the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to cows, which are most useful animals because they supply milk to the society. So, we are fortunate, we have come in touch with Srila Prabhupada's movement, and as Kali Yuga advances, it's going to be very, very tough. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam 12th canto that there will be no availability of rice, wheat, sugar, milk, all this, nothing will be there. Man has to eat man. We'll come to that stage. Before that, actually, if you are intelligent enough, we should take to the practice of Krishna consciousness, and we should perfect our life, and we should go back home, back to Godhead. Only in the human form of life we can do this actually. So it's a very rare opportunity, and so we should not waste our time. We should become serious and sincere in our practice of devotional service, and we should achieve that end. Otherwise, we have to repeatedly take birth. Pravritti Marga is that, to regulated sense gratification. So when you regulate sense gratification, again, if you have some unfulfilled desire, you have to again take birth, again come, again suffer. So these things will go on. So it's a nice opportunity, and we'll continue reading this chapter. We'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.